evangelicals, Christians of every denomination, and believers of every faith have never had a greater champion, not even close, in the White House than you have right now. I think you know that.
Welcome back to DBL. That was President Trump last month in Miami, and there's no doubt evangelicals support him. They helped elect him in 2016, and a recent Associated Press poll showed about 80% still approve of him. Going into the 2020 election, we wanted to know why, and we've got just the person to do that. Jim Daly joins us. He's the president and CEO of Focus on the Family, one of the largest Christian evangelical organizations in the world. Jim also hosts a radio show heard by millions of people every day. Thank you, Jim, for being here. First of all, you and Jeff have matching suits on.
What's up? The inside too? I don't know what it is. Blue on the inside. I don't know.
So here's the thing, Jim. I want us to have a really forthright and honest conversation. That's what we do here at DBL. It might get uncomfortable. I'm struggling trying to figure out how someone, and I met you earlier, you and your wife are very lovely. No, you seem to have a very strong moral character. I can't understand, and I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. I would say the same thing about certain Democrats. How can you support someone that seems to be so morally bankrupt, in my opinion?
Yeah, well, one of the issues is we as Christians, there's no monolithic Christian, so I'm not representing all Christians. And I think from our perspective, it's really about the policies. And I think the 2016 election, what you see in the Christian community is either more of a sophistication about the reality of politics, that you're not going to get a perfect person. Jesus is not going to run for president. So what do we look at? You look at the policies, and for us, it's pro-life. It's religious freedom.
Let me just challenge you, because I grew up Christian, and I do hold my faith to heart, despite what some of our viewers might think. I believe it to be more about, when I think about Christianity, I think about raising my daughter to be an upstander. I think about raising my daughter to challenge a bully when she sees one. And a recent report came out from the Washington Post that the president's rhetoric has now influenced bullies at schools all over the nation, and they're repeating his phrases to minorities, whether they are taunting Muslims, whether they're taunting Mexicans, saying that we're going to build a wall around you. I still can't get behind. I could never go to bed at night knowing that this individual is the leader of our free world, and they are inspiring children to be bullies. I could care less about the policies.
Yeah, and that's a reality. And unfortunately, what you didn't mention was the other side, where the people on college campuses, the Trump supporters, their locations are being run over by vans, and that thing's going both ways. So it would be helpful for all of us to kind of become more civil in the political debate and to be more understanding of each other. So I don't disagree with you in that regard, but it's not just the president. Let's face it.
But do you have a problem with his moral compass?
Oh, I think personally, listen, there's not.
And then Jeff or Erica jump in.
There's not just two kinds of Trump supporters, the never Trumpers and the always Trumpers. There's the huge middle ground of reluctant Trumper. And what we mean by that is, again, back on the policies, someone who's pro-life, at least espousing that and supporting it, and also religious freedom. And, those are the policies that we can get behind. But do we wince on those Trump tweets? Absolutely.
Got it.
Do we cringe? Absolutely. Do we wish he would be more a politician and maybe not say things that he thinks? But he just kind of is out there. He's just saying what he thinks, and that's not always a comfortable thing to do.
Now, as a Christian, I think I struggle with the idea of elevating someone above humanity. And the issue for me with Trump is that a lot of people who support him seem to think that he's bigger than life. And the reality is, even if we had two terms, that would only be 8 years. So do we think that we're leading people down the wrong path of putting their faith in a person as opposed to the republic?
Well, sure, but it comes down to a binary choice. That's our political structure. You have a Democrat and Republican. You can write in a third-party vote, but that person's not realistically going to get the position. So for us, I think in the broader Christian community, it comes back to policy. I don't think people think he's bigger than life or anything.
Well, it appears that way sometimes.
Well,
I mean, it's just a higher standard or they're holding him to a higher level than what we've seen in the past.
You know what, though? I was thinking about this on the way up here. If he was with an intern I think his Christian support would evaporate. I really do. I mean, so far, at least while he's been in office, there hasn't been any kind of innuendo that he's not behaving properly. And I think I'd push back on the Democrats. Well, I'm talking about sexually.
And please, Jeff, chime in. That's where I want us to get as a community. I want us to call out. I can call out Bloomberg. I'm not a fan of his.
Yeah.
I can call out Clinton for being I can't even say the words on camera, and I can call out Trump. And but I can't support any one of those people. That's, I guess, the difference.
So who are you going to vote for president?
Well, Clinton, thank God, isn't. I really am a fan of Bernie. I've been honest about that because I feel like that he is a stand-up moral character. Policies to me are secondary. Jeff, do you have something you want to add?
Okay, that's interesting.
Not really. I mean, I just feel it was interesting what you said earlier, because when you say you're a Trump supporter, there's automatic bashing involved in that. So people will look at you with disdain because you're a Trump supporter. If you despise Trump on the other side with equal hate, you're kind of put on a pedestal and encouraged to do that.
Correct.
You know, so I don't understand.
That's wrong too.
Right.
That is wrong too.
I'm in the middle too, but I don't understand why people think that's right to do that. And I'm not a Trumper either. So people, if I say something that's stuck up for him, I'm automatically categorized as I wear a red hat, I'm a white male, and I think this way. And that's definitely not true. But I don't understand why there isn't attack on the other side for people who are just as ignorant on the other side.
Well, I think you're right, frankly. That's why I said we only talk about hate coming from one perspective. But certainly Trump supporters have received a lot of bashing, sometimes physically, in restaurants, etc., if they wear a red hat.